highly respected listeners, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen and blessed every single one of us by putting us in the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is such a huge honor that no matter how hard we try, if we spend our lives researching over it, we will not be able to find out the true value of the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done by putting us in the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is so many things that if we start acquiring the knowledge of Deen, the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what was his relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we start acquiring the knowledge of that, there's so many things that we learn that we never thought about. And then we begin to imagine how little our knowledge is, how small our knowledge is. And Hazrat Ulama Kiram have said that the real status of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is only known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No other creation can fully comprehend his status. Such a Nabi, such a Prophet, he was sent into this world, and me and you and all of us were put into the ummah of that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We cannot even begin to imagine the honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us by doing this ihsan to us. Now, when such a huge honor has been given, there has been placed a huge responsibility. A responsibility that has to be fulfilled by every single person in the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that responsibility is that since we have been placed in the ummah of a Nabi after whom there is going to be no Nabi, all of the ummati of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam have to act as assistants and helpers of the Nabi. In all the previous in all the previous Anbiya that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent, only the Nabi himself was responsible for propagating the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the message of Tawheed, and all the others their job was to only follow what the Nabi is saying, only do how the Nabi is doing. But us being part of the ummah of the last prophet after whom there is going to be no Nabi, our responsibility is not only limited to following the Nabi and how he did things, what he taught, but also teaching others, informing others about it, taking his message to every single human being that is going to come on this earth till the last day. That has been the responsibility that has been put on the shoulders of each one of us. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at his last public gathering that he had, where Muslims from wherever they wanted could have come and joined him and listened to him. The last Hajj that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Hajjatul Wida, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed. At that time, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam particularly emphasized about a few things. And then, in that public gathering, where it is said that it was a gathering of almost 124,000 people, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded all his ummah in general that whoever is present here and whoever has heard me talk, whoever has got my teaching, they should take it upon themselves to propagate it, to take it to those who are not here. Whoever is shahid here, whoever is present here, they should take this message of mine to those who are not here. And similarly, the Prophet ﷺ has said, "Ballighu anni walau aya." Ballighu anni walau aya. Even if you know one ayah, even if you have one ayah, take it further, take it from me and move it along, pass it along, give it to people. But the Quran has explained three kinds of people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran has explained that these are the people that will be when the rain comes down upon a land, upon a stone. When the rain comes down, when it comes down from the sky, there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has categorized the land into three kinds. One is over which the water falls and slides. Over which the water falls and slides. That land does not take the water itself. It does not grow any plantation. Then there is another kind which absorbs all the water into itself but does not pass it along. But the third and the best kind, which the ummah has to be, which the ummah has to become, is to absorb that water, that blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the example being given through a rain, but it is actually the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that it is showering upon you like a blessing from the sky. Now your job is to absorb it fully, apply it on your lives first, and then also include others, also benefit others. And that is the best kind of people, the best kind of humans that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has praised in the Quran. My dear respected brothers, whenever we study the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever we study the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have to keep both these purposes in mind. We have to keep both these purposes in mind. A alim, a scholar, on their first day of classes, classes in their school, are taught that whatever ilm, whatever knowledge you are going to gain, straighten your intention, purify your intention. If you do it only for the sake of becoming a alim, being called a maulvi, being called somebody who is very knowledgeable, being called somebody whom the world is going to look up to in their matters of deen, then all your time that you are spending here, the 7, 8, 10, 15 years that you're going to spend here, you are going to gain zero. You're not going to gain anything from here. So the first intention has to be that you have to have the intention of, you have to have the spirit of applying what you hear from the Prophet ﷺ on your own lives first. We've been talking about the life of the Prophet ﷺ since the past 2 or 3 weeks. There's lessons in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. When we hear those lessons, when we listen to those lessons, we have to have the spirit of applying them on our lives. The one lesson that we intend to talk about inshallah today and in the future khutbat is that after the correction of the aqidah, the way the Prophet ﷺ worked on the people around him was that the first thing that he would bring them to, and that was the hardest thing to do, was to bring them into the worship of one ilah, one single Allah. No one else can be worshipped. No one else can be. The Arab, they had, the mushrikeen had gathered, it comes in narrations, about 350 to 400 idols right in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Khana Kaaba. The Prophet ﷺ imagined the kind of message that he's going to, the kind of people and the kind of message that he's bringing to people. He's saying all these 360 idols that you've placed right in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all the others elsewhere that you've created, they are nothing but your own creation. Do not worship them, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. This was the first teaching of the Prophet ﷺ, and on this is based all the other teachings. And on this are based all the other teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. This relates to the heart of a person. So the first thing the Prophet ﷺ in his life would work on the people around him would be their hearts. When their hearts would be ready to accept the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would teach them the a'mal, the actions. And among the actions, the most important would be salah. The Prophet ﷺ through his own example, through the example, through his words, through the actions of the people around him. He firmly made it stick in the minds of the people that if there is only one thing that you are going to do, if there is only one thing that you are going to do after believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first thing that you have to do is to come to salah, is to come to a status, to a station where you are very careful about your salah. My dear respected brothers, the ulama are saying that the status of the ummah overall, is that we are fighting on the last boundary of the city. If there is a castle which has multiple layers of protection, the castle of Islam is fighting on the last boundary, the last layer of protection, and that is salah. That if somebody is praying salah, they will at least affiliate themselves to some extent to this deen of Islam. Because beyond that, beyond salah, everything remains only in the heart, and you do not know the status of the people's heart. So the only differentiating factor that remains today between the last differentiating factor that remains today between a Muslim and a non-Muslim is salah. And the Prophet ﷺ had said so many clear things about salah. In fact, in one very clear hadith, the Prophet ﷺ has said that whoever man taraka salatan maktubatan muta'ammidan, whoever neglects or does not pray a farz salah, knowingly, consciously, muta'ammidan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no back with them. They are out of the responsibility of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not care for them one bit. So my dear respected brothers, when we read about the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have to, when we learn or listen about the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have to take it with a zeal, with a spirit of applying it on our lives, and we have to start with the basics. And the basics start with salah. So my dear respected brothers, when our Nabi, although he was a Nabi, he was a prophet, he knew fully well Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had promised him Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had told him that you are free of sins. All the Anbiya are free of sins. Even that Nabi in his last days, he was in such an illness that he was not able to get up and walk himself. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us there again and again when we go to Medina and see the Masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the mimbar of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is less than 100 feet. Less than 100 feet. So imagine the state of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was not even able to walk that distance on his own. Two Sahaba were called. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was lifted up, and his feet were dragging on the ground, and he came to the musalla and prayed with jama'ah. This is the status of who knows in his life fully well that he has no sins, that he is definitely going to get Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown him Jannah in his life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told him he is going to be the first one entering the Jannah. All the creation, all the world, all the Jannat, Dozakh, Jahannam, everything has been created because by virtue of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he's spending his last days of life, and he's so sick that he cannot get up from his bed, and he's coming to salah. Although the masala of the Sharia that he has himself taught to his Sahaba is that when you are extremely sick, you do not have to come to the masjid. But look at the example of the Prophet himself. What is his amal? How is he doing that? All of that, my dear respected brothers, for you and for me, to show us the importance of salah, to show us how serious this matter is. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us an understanding. Inshallah, we'll continue talking about this in the next khutbah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Brothers who have read the sunnah can do sunnah.